What's up, everyone? Josue here. I wanted to talk about my fantasy football team in this video and why I chose who I chose. I implemented this rule last year, or the last couple of years, where you could trade draft picks with your draft or with your players. And I ended up trading away my third, my fifth, and my seventh. Turns out it bit me in the ass, and it was a tough draft. I had never done that before. But it is what it is, or it was what it was, and I'm just gonna do a quick rundown of why I did what I did. So I was able to get the fifth overall pick, and it was either between Breece Hall and Tyreek Hill based on the order of the people in my draft. So I knew that CMC was gonna go first. I didn't know who was gonna go second, but one of the guys ended up picking Bijan over Breece Hall. He said that it was either or. And then the guy who had third pick, I knew he was a Cowboys fan, so I knew he was going to go with CeeDee Lamb. And the guy who was picking fourth said that he was going to get either Bijan or Hall, whoever second didn't pick, the second guy. So I knew that I was going to be stuck with most likely Tyreek Hill or the rest of the bunch, but I decided to go with Tyreek at number 5, and then that put me back at number 20. And I remember specifically it was either going to be Pacheco or Kyren Williams. Now I could have went Josh Allen easily, but I just don't draft like that. Maybe I'll change later. Maybe I'll change next year. Maybe I'll switch it up, whatever. But my quarterbacks always usually come later in the draft. So with my 20th pick, my 20th pick overall, my second pick in the draft was Kyren Williams. It was either going to be Kyren or Pacheco, and based off of last year, I just thought Kyren really killed it, tore it up. So I went with Kyren. Didn't have a third round pick, so I had to wait 24 picks, and at 44, I chose Tank Dell. Looking back at it, I don't know if it was the smartest decision at the time, because I know I spoke in one of my previous videos that I'm really high on the Texans this year because I feel like they have 3 number 1 wide receivers. And I just feel like by saying that, I should have thought at any given week, either one of these guys could do well and either one of these guys could, not do so well. But Tank Dell week 1 ended up getting, I think I said 3 catches for 40 yards, something like that. Not necessarily what I want to see as a fantasy owner, but I still think he has the potential to have Diggs or Nico, not necessarily them, but have like a 20-point game every week, because he's that good. That was my 4th round pick. So my 6th round pick, and I know a lot of you, or if anybody sees this, I know that I've gotten a lot of slack for it already. I decided to go with Nick Chubb as my 4th overall pick in the 6th round at pick number 68, because I just felt like I had to reach this year because of the situation I'm in with no 3rd, 5th, or 7th. And if he pans out to be the old Nick Chubb, then I'm getting a 1st round talent or a top 10 talent. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I did that. It could come back to bite me in the ass, or I could look like a genius. I don't know. That was the 6th round. And then to double dip in the 8th round, I ended up getting Jerome Ford to hold me over. Or I did that in case Chubb doesn't pan out to be the old Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford, just takes over this year. You never know. But he had a great week 1. He gave me about 20 plus points. So, and then my 9th round pick was Evan Ingram. I just thought it was time to get a tight end at that point in the draft. So it was either going to be him or Njoku, I think, were the top ones left. So I went with Ingram. Turns out it wasn't a good idea. But I'm not going to panic. Jacksonville doesn't have, a clear-cut number 1 wide receiver. They have Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas Jr., and Christian Kirk. So I think Evan Ingram should be okay. And with my 10th pick, I went with Jacoby Myers. just because I thought Minshew was a bit of above average quarterback, and I thought he could take them to like another level, not necessarily the level that they need to be to go to the playoffs or win a championship, but I thought he was better than O'Connell or better than what they had in the past, like Jimmy G recently. But Jacoby Myers is nice. I just think he needs to get a few more targets, a few more catches to help me out. I think he ended up with 9 or something points. 4 catches, I think, for 50 yards, something like that. But he was my 10th pick. My 11th pick, I went with Jaden Daniels because I thought that there is a lot of potential for him to do well in the rushing game, which could get you a lot of points. That's why a lot of people like to draft Josh, Lamar, Jalen Hurts. So I decided to go with him, and it bit me in the ass by not starting him week 1, but I hope he pounds out to be a great quarterback this year. So we'll see. My next pick was Romeo Doubs. Again, looking back at it, it's like the Packers have such good young receivers that, again, like the Diggs, Nico, and Tank Dell situation, on any given week, I feel like one of these guys could break out. Whether it's Watson, Dobbs, now Reed. They have another kid. I think his name is Wicks. So we'll see. Maybe Jordan Love will start favoring Dobbs a little bit in the when he comes back, for my sake anyway. But all the receivers on the Packers are nice. They have a very good, not a trio, but they have 4 or 5 guys that can really, have the potential to get it done any week. My 12th pick, again, I went with a stretch. I went with TJ Hawkinson. In case Ingram didn't pan out, and in case he comes back to the old TJ Hawkinson, I just thought at that point he could be a steal, kind of like Chubb. But I gotta wait a month. I'm hoping to go at least 2-2 before those guys come back, and then hopefully they can carry me to a championship. With my next pick, I went with Adam Thielen because I know the Panthers aren't very good, but I just thought Bryce Young really looked at Thielen last year. Even with them getting a rookie in Xavier Legette, I thought that Adam Thielen was going to continue. Even though the yardage wasn't there, it was the receptions that were helping me, that would help me. If it was 10 catches for 50 yards, that's not the greatest, but in fantasy, it's pretty good. It's, it would leave me at about 15 points. That's why I went with Thielen. He's on my bench. It's kind of a wait and see. My next pick was Deshaun Watson. I had good hopes for him to be good. I know the Browns have a good defense. I know it didn't show this last week against Dallas, but I just thought with the addition to Jerry Jeudy, already having Amari Cooper, Njoku, and I know they have another receiver. I can't think right now. And then obviously with the addition of Jerome Ford and Nick Chubb when he comes back, I just think he has the potential to be good. But again, I messed up on that switch this week, and it cost me a dub. So it is what it is. My next pick, don't know why I did this. I think it was because I don't even know why. But for my 14th pick, I went with Harrison Butker. Everybody needs a kicker. I thought he was the best kicker still available at that time. He was picked 164. And then my next pick, I went with Ray Davis. Now, a lot of you guys might not know who Ray Davis is. Obviously, I do. He's a backup to James Cook on Buffalo. I thought he had a really good preseason, and he's more of like a bruiser back. He get in there on third down, get you that 1 or 2 yards. He's not big. He's I think 5'9", no, like 5'8", 220 pounds, something like that. But he's more bulkier than James Cook. So, and he has decent speed. So I thought, maybe if Cook falls off this year for whatever reason, Ray Davis, or even gets hurt, then Ray Davis could, fill in nicely and not lose a beat in our offense. He can also catch out of the backfield, so I thought that was a positive, but he's more of a stash. We'll wait and see. My next pick, second to last, I picked Tyler Algier just because I think he has the potential to be a good back in this league. I think he's a good complement to Bijan, but you never know. It's kind of like one of those, it's the end of the draft. You kind of just flip a coin and see, okay, which one of these second stringers are worth stashing in your mind. Maybe one gets or has the potential to get more volume, more carries, more in the passing game than the starter. So kind of like Justice Hill versus Derrick Henry. He had a good game, but it was all passing game. So I went with him, and then for the last pick, I went with Cincinnati defense. Just because I know the last round doesn't mean much to anybody, but I was gonna pick the Saints defense going up against Carolina, and some guy snatched them 2 picks before me, but I went with Cincinnati. That didn't pan out because I thought that New England was gonna wasn't gonna be very good, and they definitely gave them a run for their money and ended up winning the game. So that's my team. I'll put a screenshot up of it right here just to show you. And my team never ends up the same way at the end of the season than when I drafted. So do your homework. Try to get that gem off of the waiver wire as not necessarily as early as you can, but try to save your waiver pick to when it matters most. You know what I'm saying? So that's my team. I could have won week 1. I'm still stuck on it. I'll be over it by tomorrow once the game comes on. But new week, gotta move forward. No sense in looking back and dwelling on it, whatever. It's not my best team, what I'm used to, because I had to compromise 3 mid-round picks. 1 early, the 3rd round, and a 5 and a 7. So we'll see. I need Chubb and Hawkinson to pan out for me, and we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys updated as the season goes. Go Bills.